Right, back with you now here on the Newsfeed Late Night. The colored community arguably remains marginalized and largely excluded from mainstream economic, political and social participation. Tonight we ask the question, why is this still the case almost 30 years into democracy? Joining me now is the president of the Cape Colored Congress, Fadiel Adams. Fadiel, good evening and thank you very much for joining us tonight here on the Newsfeed Late Night. If we look at the latest round of by-election, seems you have done very well, got a 19% from that highly contested Ward 20 in the city of Cape Town. Are you a regional party? Are you a local party? Are you a national party? What exactly are you?
It was intended that this party would only ever contest the Cape Metro, which is where the biggest concentration of colored people in the world is to be found. However, we were surprised to find out that the colored struggle in Cape Town is the colored struggle in the Eastern Cape, it's the colored struggle in Wentworth, it's the colored struggle in Pietermaritzburg. It seems that there's been a decision taken to marginalize colored people throughout this country, and it makes no sense to anyone. It's not in the interest of the colored people, it's not in the interest of the nation, and somebody needs to do something about it. Somebody needs to ask the hard questions, and we want the hard, honest answers. What have colored people done to deserve this?
What is this newcomer or new player in the field planning to do to advance the matters of the recognition, the restoration and the restitution for the colored community?
Well, you know, if you look at petty little things, well, it would be petty to an outsider. But here in Cape Town, in the home of the coloreds, you can drive through Cape Town and you'll find Robert Sadukwe Drive, you will find Nelson Mandela Drive, and rightly so. You know, these are giants of our freedom struggle. But you're not going to find the Pedro Page Street on Ashley Creel Boulevard. You're not going to find these things. You know, we've been systemically written out of history. And our priority is to ensure that colored people's place in the sun in this country is to be found. You know, we have a role to play. We have aspirations, we have a contribution to make, but without any type of representation within the structures of government, that's just not going to happen. You know, if you look at the dominant political parties in the country at the moment, they have made it clear that the colored situation or the colored material condition, it's not top of their priority. Now, when 3,500 of our kids are killed on the Cape Flats alone year on year, that's more than what happens in Iraq or Afghanistan, and those are registered and recognized war zones. What compounds this problem is that many of these guns are being supplied by the state. And this is where we aim to come in, because this carnage and this madness has to stop.
So what do you make of the 4 billion rands that has been approved for the River Club development, really aimed at developing elements that will celebrate the Khoi cultural heritage?
You know, we are not surprised. The provincial government here, the Democratic Alliance, has shown us this game to us. 4 billion rand has been for development, but the developers will not be coloreds. We might be lucky and be laborers. If there was any interest in our development, they would have restored the land from which we were forcibly evicted in 1976. That would be a big first step. 27 years later, it has taken this administration to rename one road in District 6. If it's taken 27 years to rename a road, how much longer do you think we'll be waiting for our land? We do not applaud a 4 billion rand investment in our development. We are worth a lot more than that. You see, the management of that land will not be in our hands. And this is the problem. That in this province in particular, coloreds can't manage. And I quote Marius Koen, the mayor of Saldanha.
Do you support the signing by the president of the Khoisan Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act, and what do you think that act particularly has been able to achieve so far?
Let me tell you what the problem with the Khoi is. If you look at our black brothers and sisters, I've got 50 million people represented by 5 kings. 5 kings. When you look at the Khoi, you might have 10,000, and they're represented by probably 100 paramount chiefs and kings. And therefore, we cannot take seriously any bill that is written, because the Khoi are too fractured and too the president of the country is in actual fact appointing Khoi leadership. You know, it takes away the very independence of the Khoi. The first indigenous people of this country need to seek approval from someone else. We cannot in good faith support anything like this. That Cyril Ramaphosa gets to say who is a king, who is a queen, when the Khoi themselves are unsure. The Khoi need to get their house in order before they look to government to sanction anything.
Now, you've recently taken on the challenge as the Cape Coloured Congress to deal with the issue of gangsters in the Cape Flats in particular. Tell me, what are we getting wrong as far as that fight is concerned?
Everything. We cannot possibly have a policing situation where top police generals are at war with each other while there's a war going on the Cape Flats. The socio-economic conditions in which I live are conducive to the spread of gangsterism and gang violence. Until we give these kids alternatives, entertainment, until we empty these ghettos, the situation will perpetuate. You see, the drivers of gangsterism, the driving, let me put it to you like this. The things that flame gangsterism are overcrowding, unemployment, drug abuse, the breakup of the family, of the family fabric. Those are the things that drive gangsterism. And everything that is being done to fight these things is being done wrongly. You cannot send in an army to a traumatized community. The army came, the army stationed, the army left. The body count did not drop. If anything, it escalated. What we need on the Cape Flats, and I've said it 100 times, and I'm going to say it again, is we do need an army. But we need an army of educators, of social workers, of skills developers, an army of investors. That's the army we need, not soldiers and guns. Until we give these kids a way out, they will always be easy prey for the gangs. And we took on this issue because we're the only people who can speak on this issue with any authority, because we live with the issue. Many of our children have turned towards gangsterism and drugs. Many good kids that we know, that we love, have fallen into this trap. You know, a politician living in Constantia or Sandton cannot speak on the Cape Flats with any authority, irrespective of the mandate he's got.
Now, ahead of the local government elections, which are set to be taking place in October, you are one of those candidates. What are you prioritizing?
Housing, unemployment, gang violence. Those are the 3 most important things for us to address. Our manifesto launch will be on the 16th of July, and we will discuss our stance on these issues in depth.
Now, you're calling for the people of color, right, to rise up and claim their dignity. What is in that call? What exactly are you calling them to do?
You know, where we live, our areas are full of matriculants, young, bright kids. Ask them how many of them have tried to apply for jobs. You'll be surprised to say that many have never bothered, because they've learned the lesson of the new South Africa. They've learned from their brothers and their fathers and their aunts and their uncles that it's pointless throwing in your CV. Because when the Department of Labor can dispose of 1,300 CVs that belong to colored children and not offer one of them an interview, then that says a lot. Our dignity is being stripped here. Go and look at the varsities. You know, 50% of the matriculants in this province are colored. Maybe 5% of them get into varsity. Go look at the employment. Go and see how many coloreds work anywhere. Our dignity has been stripped away. It is time that we claim it back. It is time that we demand it back. You see, in 2022, we will be expecting to address these issues with the varsities, with the technicons, with the employers. Where are the colored people? You see, we've got a constitutional court ruling the Correctional Services 6, which says that you cannot employ national demographics in the Western Cape because it would negatively impact the colored people. Government didn't care. Business doesn't care. Everybody goes ahead, knowing that we do not have the money to take this thing to the Constitutional Court. Therefore, it becomes imperative that every colored person in this community demands that business and government abide by a Constitutional Court ruling.
That was the president there of the Cape Coloured Congress, Fadiel Adams. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us tonight here on the Newsfeed Late Night.
Have a good night.